everyone. Normally I don't film myself doing or presenting videos like this. I usually just show the guns or what I'm shooting. But I figured I'd do something different for a change because I did a video about 2 or 3 months ago that was a disassembly of a K98 German Mauser rifle. This one was made in 1940, and I got this from J&G Sales. It's a Russian capture, so it's kind of beat up and it's got a lot of parts that were probably replaced other parts, so it's probably not very original. But it was, for the price I paid, about $300. It was a pretty good deal, and it's a pretty good shooter now that I've fixed the problems with it shooting high. But I wanted to do a disassembly video. A lot of folks have done that, but nobody's really gone into the detail about looking at the codes that you find on these guns. And the one thing you can say about Germans during World War II is they were very good about keeping track of who manufactured what. And what they did was they had a fairly thorough coding system that we're only knowing or learning about over the last 10-20 years, and there's still a lot of things we don't know. And when I go over this rifle in different parts and pieces during the series, you'll see certain codes that I have no idea what they are. But I am going to show you what I do know so that you can be looking for these codes when you disassemble your Mauser K98, or really any Mauser for that matter. Generally speaking, there's 3 things we're going to talk about. The first thing is the major manufacturer codes, which are usually right here on the barrel or on the top of the receiver. As you can see on this one, there really isn't one, or there is, it's just so ground down and faded that you can't see it. But in the right light, you can actually see some numbers here, and you'll find out later on where this rifle came from. Basically, Bald, Berlin, I think, is the manufacturer. The Mauser Works there is where this came from. And there are other codes on here that kind of confirm that. So we'll talk about the major manufacturer codes and where to look for them. We'll also talk about these subcontractor codes, a lot of which are the same kind of codes you would see here on the main part of the rifle, but you might find on other parts. And then you'll find, more often times than not, a whole different series of codes called Waffenamts. And you'll hear me talk about this in the video series coming up. Waffenamts basically are weapons administration codes that were put there by the inspectors. Different groups of inspectors and the people that worked with them had, instead of putting their initials or anything, to keep it secret from, I guess, capture by the Allies or from anyone else or for whatever legal issues, they had these Waffenamt codes that the military would know about, no one else would. And these codes are stamped all over here, all over this gun in different parts for inspection purposes, so that the guns would have the right parts and the parts would be up to snuff, so that they could release the rifle for use by the German military. So anyway, we'll talk about those codes. One thing I do want to cover real quick, I'll put this down here, is that to find out more information about the codes that are out there, there are some books that you probably need to get for that purpose that would help you out. The first book that I think anybody should have are one of these gun guides. They're very small, simple, and short, only $6, but they're very good, very easy to read illustrations of how to disassemble a Mauser. Now, a Mauser is very easy to disassemble compared to other rifles, but this is a very simple takedown, easy to use and understand guide, and for $6 it's well worth it, and it'll help you take down a K98, M48s, any similar variants of Mauser rifles, and they have different guides for different guns and Mausers for that matter. So this is one thing you should have. The second book, it's not as necessary, I think, but it's certainly a good book to have if you're a Mauser collector, is this book, the Mauser Military Rifles of the World. This is the 4th edition, the most recent one. It's a very heavy book, and it's got lots of pretty pictures, and it has a very large section in here about German Mausers. It doesn't give you a whole lot of, I think, necessarily useful information, but it does allow you to kind of look for things. If you're on the market and you're looking for a Mauser, especially when it's not a German K98 that's a Russian capture, it'll give you some information that you may not know that might tell you or clue you in as to whether the gun's really unique or even authentic. One of the things that I like is that some of these books are pretty good about telling you what to look for in case you are possibly being hoodwinked into thinking that you have an all-original Waffen SS K98 when in fact somebody probably just added some marks on there to make you think that that's the case. And the best book for that would be this Mauser military markings book. This is by Terence Lappin. Terence Lappin is also the author of probably the only definitive Mosin Nagant rifle book on the market right now. And I'll do a video about that later. This is a lesser known book that he has, and it's about all the military Mauser markings you'll ever find on any rifle ever made under the designation of a Mauser. And in particular, he used to not, in the first edition, have this, but he added sections about the German World War II codes, about the Waffenamts. He has very detailed sections here that tell you what the codes are, what manufacturers they came from, and so on. So it's a really good book to have. There's a lot of the code information out there that you can find on the internet, and I'll have links for that eventually as well. But this is a good book because he actually explains what those codes represent and why they were there. And he at least gives you as much information as he had when he printed this book, which is already about 10 years old, I think. And this is like $23 or something like that from Amazon. So anyway, those are the books that I use for my research. I hope you enjoy this video. Okay, folks, let's take apart this Mauser. This is a K98 Mauser that I got from J&G Sales that I've already showed you a couple of times on the range, and when I reviewed it when I first got it. So let's go ahead and field strip this. Is open the bolt and then close it after checking the chamber, because in order to do that, then you can put the safety up. You're going to need this up when you disassemble the bolt later on. Then we're going to take the bolt out again, and then pulling on this latch right here as far out as you can, you take the bolt out of the rifle. Now, some of the things I'm going to show you on this bolt before we disassemble it. Here are some of the codes you might find on yours. There is a number 27 here on the extractor claw portion of the extractor arm. You'll see several Waffenamp codes on the back stop here. And I'll go over these in more detail later. You'll see some here on the plunger. There's a mark here. This might be an L. See, depending on how you look at it. And also on the extractor claw, I just found out here, discovered here, and I can't see it very well, looks like a 280 Waffenamp. You'll find those all over the place. And of course you'll find the serial number on the top here. Usually it's etch-a-stenciled or electropenciled some way, which was done during the refurb process when the Russians had these. And it will match, usually, generally speaking, the Mauser that you have here. So now we'll take this apart.